Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Fortitude Fix. I hope you're well. My name is DaShanna, and in today's video I wanted to raise awareness because July is Fibroid Awareness Month. And so if you have been around for a while, or if you check out any of my videos, you will know that I have fibroids. I had 2 successful pregnancies and deliveries with fibroids, and so I really just wanted to sit down and talk a little bit about my experience. So if you're not familiar with what fibroids are, they are non-cancerous growths that can be inside or outside of the uterus, and they range in size and location. I did a video, it's actually one of my most popular videos here on this channel, about fibroids, about kind of risk factors, about some treatment options, about kind of just the ins and outs of fibroids. I also take you with me to my OB appointment back in 2020 where I could see the fibroid on the screen, and I show that. I basically was diagnosed with uterine fibroids back in 2015, was it? But I had no idea what they were really or how it would affect me later. I am one who has had pretty standard periods or menstrual cycles, so the fibroids didn't affect that. When I became pregnant, I got pregnant, you know, my husband and I, without any interventions, and so it wasn't anything that affected my ability to get pregnant or either of my babies while they were in utero, and it didn't affect my delivery either. I have 2 fibroids, or so I thought. I'll get there in a minute, but 2 fibroids. Generally in that video you'll hear me talk about top left and bottom right. They are outside of my uterus, and so doctors really just wanted to keep an eye on them throughout both of the pregnancies that I had to make sure that they didn't cause any problems, which they did not. When I was pregnant back in 2020 with my oldest daughter, I was really worried and concerned about these fibroids, but my doctor wasn't, really just wanting to keep an eye on them to make sure that they didn't cause any issues. They said that I had an 18 centimeter one, the big one at the top left, and in that video you will also see I'm laying down and you can see obviously my pregnant belly, but you can also see like the fibroid just sitting on top, just chilling. And it was really interesting to experience that throughout my pregnancy, but there it was. And with my second daughter in my pregnancy, it was found that there are technically 2 fibroids up here on the top left, but they are like literally like sitting on top of each other, so it read as 1. So that's why I got that 18 centimeter reading from the size of this one, but technically they are 2 smaller ones. So I guess you can say I have 3 fibroids. The 2 that are really connected up top, creating that 18 centimeter huge mass, and then on the bottom right. When I gave birth to my first daughter, they again didn't cause any issues. I did have a vaginal delivery. I delivered at 39 weeks and 5 days, and after that, after I had the baby, I thought that I would be monitored, or at least told how the fibroids were shrinking, but that is not the case. I actually had to contact my OB and ask to see if they had shrunk, and so she said it's typically not something they like check on, but because I asked and requested that, I got that appointment and they were able to look. So I want to say a few months postpartum, I went back and we looked at the fibroid and it had shrunk. So I do feel that throughout pregnancy, obviously with all the increased blood flow, with all the hormones, my fibroids did indeed grow throughout pregnancy, but then they shrunk back to a smaller size afterward. When I gave birth to my second daughter, they kept an eye on my fibroids as well. That's when they realized that there were 2 of them kind of clumped, and you know, they said that it was about 6, 7, 8 centimeters each, and that's what kind of built up to that 18 centimeter original reading that I got. Again, no issue. I gave birth a second time vaginally, and they did not check to see how the fibroids had, you know, shrunk down, and I did not request an appointment to check. I was going through a lot at that time. We had just moved, I transferred care and all of the things. So I knew from my first pregnancy that they will just shrink back, because that's what happened before, and I believe that's what happened after I gave birth the second time. So what I will say is postpartum for me was really that experience of having your uterus contract, right? Going back to its normal size. I think my fibroids made it so that I looked pregnant. I looked very pregnant for a substantial time after I gave birth. It takes a while, right, for your uterus to go back to its traditional size, but also because I had such huge fibroids, even though my uterus had maybe gone down, I still had those huge fibroids that were fairly visible, and it made it look like I was still pregnant. So even now, I am literally a year postpartum after my second kid, and I still am not, you know, the most comfortable with my midsection, but I do know that the fibroids have shrunk and gotten smaller than they were during pregnancy. And so for me, that is extremely comforting. What I will say is that there's lots of treatments out there. Some doctors will opt to remove them. If you are having huge issues with them, you may have to talk to them and kind of stay on them about getting them removed. And most people will get these removed if they are inside of the uterus, if they are going to cause issues with conception or carrying a pregnancy to term, etc., etc. So if a person is realizing that they have fibroids before pregnancy, then getting in close contact with your OB and really realizing and figuring out what would be the best for you in your case if you want to get pregnant down the line. There are a bunch of different treatment options. Surgery is not the only option. Wanted to just get on here and share a little bit about my experience. I still have the fibroids. I have not had any surgeries to remove them. In my case, they have not affected my ability to conceive, nor have they affected my ability to carry a pregnancy to term or give birth vaginally. I do feel that there are a lot of kind of horror stories out there, and I wanted to just add my positive story to the mix. While you are doing your research, you may have found my channel through that original fibroid video. Honestly, the love and the support on that video has been astounding. There are still people to this day, even though that video was filmed in 2020, I get comments on that video. People find me on Instagram, slide into my DMs, and it's not just women with uteruses that are experiencing kind of the weight of fibroids. So I've actually had fathers and men and partners and other people who are not the ones who have the fibroids who are reaching out to me looking for support. Honestly, I did not truly change my diet at all during pregnancy. There was some aversions, there was some cravings, but I really did try to eat as healthy as possible. But if I wanted a cheeseburger, if I wanted a pizza, I would get the pizza. Okay, I would eat the cheeseburger. So that was that. I did gain quite a few pounds during both of my pregnancies, but it wasn't to the point where I had gestational diabetes, or it wasn't to the point where my weight gain was too much to where they changed my diet at all. So just wanted to throw that out there in case you were wondering. There was a husband who reached out to me on Instagram and was really concerned about his wife because his wife had sickle cell, and I have sickle cell as well. If you're not familiar with what that is, I will go ahead and link some information down below. But what I did share with him was kind of my beet juice that I drank throughout pregnancy. I don't know if it helped with my sickle cell, if it helped with kind of keeping my fibroids at bay, but essentially I drank beet juice literally like 4 to 5, maybe even 6 times a week. And because we had a juicer at home and we just found this recipe, if you're interested, I will leave that recipe down below in the description box as well. But I feel like keeping healthy and kind of drinking my veggies and drinking the beets in that way did help overall for me, and even just my overall feeling of healthiness, right? So I wanted to just share that it is very much so possible to get pregnant, to have babies, to give birth vaginally with fibroids. It really all depends on where the fibroids are located and what other symptoms that you might have been experiencing that are caused by the fibroids could affect, you know, the symptoms that you're experiencing during pregnancy or when trying to conceive. But I want to clear up a common misconception that if you have fibroids, you cannot get pregnant. If you have fibroids, you cannot have a vaginal delivery. Those two things are not true in every single case. And I am just one of the people here who make videos on my tiny corner of the internet, and I wanted to just share that as a piece of knowledge, as a piece of fact, as a piece of, you know, information while you are doing your research. And if you stumble upon this video, I hope that it is helpful. I hope that hearing a little bit of my story in a positive light with fibroids during pregnancy, also as someone living with sickle cell, and I hope that this video makes its way around during Fibroid Awareness Month so that people can be knowledgeable. One of the things that I do know, and that is again fact, is that Black women, African American women such as myself, are diagnosed with fibroids 6 times the rate of any other ethnicity or race, and a lot of it they feel has to do with heredity, like it's hereditary, it runs in the family. There's also kind of some articles out there that is linked to like maybe being exposed to like hair chemicals like that straighten our hair and things like that, and how prevalent that is in our community, that may be having an effect on diagnosis rate of fibroids among Black women. So again, there is tons of research out there and different treatment options. So if you yourself have been diagnosed recently, or maybe not so recently, with fibroids, I do just want to send all the love your way. If you are looking to get pregnant, if you are pregnant and you have fibroids, I am sending you all of the love, and I pray that you have a successful and amazing experience during your pregnancy, as well as during your labor and delivery process. Again, if you want to check out that original video where I talked about all of the ins and outs and I showed you some behind the scene footage of my fibroids at that time, I will go ahead and link it down in the description box for you. Please go ahead and like this video, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. I look forward to having you here as a part of the fam. And if you have any other questions, if you want to chat and get the conversation started, go ahead and leave a comment. I love interacting with you all. I will see you all right back here in my very next video. I'm gonna leave some videos over here for you to check out between now and my next upload, and I will see you then. As always, remember to fill your cup. Bye.